Hello there. I believe I'm going live already, but it says live video is starting, so I just hang out a little bit longer till I know it's actually going. So, all right, here we are. Tonight I'm reading from chapter 2, and chapter 2 is I words. The eyes have it. Since this book is about 4 words, instinct, intellect, intuition, and intention, that begin with the letter I, I've decided it will contain a lot of words beginning with that same letter. Let's start with the shortest word that begins with I. It's all about I. I got an illustration there. See? The word I is the ultimate personal profile. Profound, there it is. Let me start that sentence again. The word I is the ultimate personal pronoun, referring to oneself, as opposed to one's mother, brother, husband, child, and so on. This English word dates all the way back to before the year 900. Self-identity was and always will be important. The word I also refers to your ego. Could there be a reason those who chose the 9th letter of the alphabet? In numerology, the number 9 is a symbol of wisdom and initiation. It is the last number before the next harmony. Numerology, the number 9, has the qualities of all the numbers 1 through 8. Seems to be a wonderful word to begin with. That said, let's begin with the introduction to the overall premise of this book. We will use premise as a verb, meaning to base an argument, theory, or undertaking on. This book is a snapshot of my belief system at this point in life, being as it is. When you count, you begin with 1, 2, 3. When you read, you begin with ABC, Mary Poppins. So, let's start at the very beginning. Let there be light. A photon has a dual nature of energy and mass. Now, you may say, a photon does not have mass. My physics professor told me so. A photon is considered massless because it makes the math easier. There are experiments that prove a photon is a particle. There are other experiments that prove a photon is a wave of energy. Wave and or particle. The photon is the initial yin-yang, the foundation of all that is. The photon in space-time is the basic building block of what we call reality. The photon phases in and out of existence, the in being light and the out being dark. The one perceives the dark as separate from light. The one is all, so dark perceives the one and the light. Light perceives the one and dark. The one perceives light and dark. This is the second dimension, the plane. To perceive the one, light and dark, the one begets another point, the begotten. The begotten perceives the plane of the one, light, and dark. This is the third dimension, the object. The begotten. In the beginning was the Word, the One. The Word became flesh, photon, and dwelt among us, perception. Light is the medium of visible life, and time is the expression of life. Moving through time always allows the full expression of life. Take a look at yourself. 4 views of I is an introspection into the individual using words starting with the letter I. We move past the trilogy of body, mind, and soul, adding another dimension of time, the movement of spirit, viewing 3 sides. I have an illustration there. You've seen it from the cover. Okay. Body, mind, soul, and spirit. The tetrahedron is the first Platonic solid. It's a shape with 4 sides. This shape represents the basic building block of our dimension. As energy becomes mass, it takes shape. The simplest form of mass in the dimension is the tetrahedron. Therefore, the third dimension. A photon is expressed as a tetrahedron. This is the most basic building block of our perceptions of our universe. The photon is in this shape. Let there be light. Everything that is visible is so because of light. Yet, visible light is a small portion of the electromagnetic spectrum. Wavicles of existence are included in vibrations far above and below the visible spectrum. X-rays are above, radio and sound waves are below. The holographic existence includes the entire electromagnetic spectrum. All is vibration. Harmonics are frequencies that are in harmony with each other. For example, an octave above is in harmony with the octave below. Harmony. Boy, I'm a good reader, huh? Harmony and me are good company. Pretty good company. That's Elton John. Woo, that took a lot to get that off. Dimensions. Okay, the smallest unit of 1D space is a series of points. The point has no mass, has no size, and it is only location. This is the first manifestation of the one. The smallest representation of 2D space is a triangle. The triangle is 3 points joined by 3 edges. This is the second manifestation of the one. The tetrahedron is the smallest unit of 3-dimensional, 3D space. It is 4 triangles joined at 4 corners and contains 6 edges. This is the third manifestation of the one. Imagine that there is only one photon, and it is the manifestation of the one. Infinite perceptions of this one photon zipping around as what it creates the hologram of all that is. This may sound completely wacky, but consider the story told by a Nobel lecturer. I received a telephone call one day at the graduate college in Princeton from Professor Wheeler, in which he said, "Feynman, I know why all electrons have the same charge and the same mass. Why? Because they are all the same electron." I am thinking of a cathode ray tube, CRT, and how the entire screen is drawn by a scanning electron beam, one dot at a time. It is done so quickly that it appears to be a complete image. What if this were the same with the entire universe? One electron zipping around so fast that it draws everything. But I digress. It's about time. Now, to throw a curve at this, imagine a curve is infinite points joined together, constantly changing direction. This curve is the fourth dimension we know as time. This curve combined with other dimensions to become space-time. Everything perceivable is perceived through space-time. Time is a curious dimension. Some would say it's not a dimension at all, but something out of space. And then I have an illustration of it's easy as 1, 2, 3. That's showing triangles of the tetrahedron. A curious observation about the tetrahedron and perception in space-time is that one cannot view the entire object with our simple stereoscopic vision. At most, we can see 3 sides, and even then, these sides are distorted. Time is required to view the complete tetrahedron because to see all sides, it must be rotated. A series of perceptions are strung together to build a complete perception. Time is required for a complete perception. The architecture of human, the throne of God. The throne of God is described as surrounded on all 4 sides by cherubim, angels. One has the face of a lion, one has the face of an eagle, one has the face of an ox, and the last one has the face of a man. Does God of everything really need to be protected? This seems unlikely. I have heard this arrangement is protection, but not God's. It's the set of guards is to protect all of creation from the full power and knowledge of God. And then I reference Revelation 4, 6 through 7. Here's the question I often brought up in Bible study when the throne of God was taught. If God is surrounded on 4 cardinal points of the compass, what happens to the other sides, specifically the bottom and the top? I suppose it could be argued that the ground at the bottom is secure, but that still leaves us with the top open. Being an Air Force man has always bothered me. Or to put it another way, an attack could come from the mole men, they dig, or the fallen angels, they fly, We live in a 4-dimensional plane. Yes, physics say there are more than that, but we can only observe 4 directly, so we'll just go with that. 4 dimensions correspond nicely with the 4 angels. Let's look again at the most basic Platonic solid, the tetrahedron. It is 3 dimensions defined. If the 4 angels are arranged around the power of God in a tetrahedral shape, it would completely encapsulate the power. This is how I came to envision a tetrahedron around the throne of God. A good visual aid to have handy is a model of tetrahedron. We live in a 4D world As mentioned, it is generally agreed that the fourth dimension is time. If we want to view the model in 4D time, we must look at it in time. You can perceive the dimensions of time by rotating the model. This model of 4 planes makes more sense for surrounding the throne completely. Each of the creatures described can have a different plane of existence. Moving past that Trinity view. The reason people think of a trinity of parts is because we can only observe a maximum of 3 of these parts at any one moment. This phenomenon is caused by our 3-dimensional life of height, width, and depth. But we know there is a 4th dimension we can observe called time or breadth. Time is a strange dimension in that we cannot fully observe the dimension as we do the other 3. We can see back in time, but not forward. We can move forward in time, but not back. It's a restricted dimension for us. Let's call this dimension breadth. So the 4 types that make you up can be observed in height, width, depth, and breadth. Hey, that's biblical. May be able to comprehend with all saints what is the breadth and length and depth and height, and to know the love of Christ, which passes knowledge, that ye may be filled with the fullness of God. That's from Ephesians 3:18 and 19. These correspond to body, mind, soul, and spirit, the 4 aspects of an individual. Let's recap. In our space-time dimension, we cannot divide these aspects any further. As with the Platonic solid of a tetrahedron, we cannot make any simpler shape. Because of this, we can use the model of the tetrahedron to illustrate our limited view. Here's a page where you can print, cut out, and build your own model. Well, there's a link in the book, but just direct message me. I'll send it to you. Okay. The only way to view all 4 sides of a tetrahedron is to rotate the object. Time is required to observe all that you are. So hold the model in your hand and try to look at all 4 sides. You can't do it. The only way to see all 4 sides is to rotate the tetrahedron. Time allows you to do this. Life goes on. Be active. Be an active part. Life is for living. Then I have another illustration of the 4 triangles flattened out. Okay. 4 eyes. The individual is comprised of 4 aspects: body, mind, soul, and spirit. Envision each triangle face of a tetrahedron as representing each aspect. I chose to assign a name to each of the triangle faces: instinct, intellect, intuition, and intention. I chose these words because they all begin with the letter I. See what I did there? Yeah. Not only that, they are descriptive of each aspect. I posit these are descriptive of the 4 aspects of every human being. The aspects are what make up your identity. We all have all 4, but the ratio between the 4 aspects make us unique. In a perfect world, all the tetrahedrons would be made up of 4 identical equilateral triangles, like my model. Let me see. I do have my model here, so this is what I'm talking about. See how I have to rotate that? You guys got that from when I read the last chapter. Anyway, let's see. Where am I? These aspects are what make up your identity. We all have all 4, but the ratio between the 4 is what makes us unique. In a perfect world, all tetrahedrons would be made up of 4 identical equilateral triangles, like the model. Each of us may have different sizes, shapes of triangles, making up our throne. Womb to tomb. Life on this plane of existence is brief. We most live less than 100 years, although many today may pass that. Some advances may even bring this into a much higher number of years, but even at 1,000 years, what is that compared to eternity? Life is a dash. Our entire life is summed up in the little dash between the birth date and the date of death on a tombstone. Each of us arrives separately. Each of us are a separate manifestation of I am. Whether this manifestation happened at conception or the beginning of time is not clear. I am here. No matter where I go, there I am. Each of us departs separately. Inner space. Be an introvert. By this, I mean get your strength from within. Don't expect others to change you. You are the only person who can change you. Are you in service to self or service to others? I hope you know. You cannot effectively serve others unless yourself is centered. How do you get yourself centered without becoming self-centered? Is there really a difference? It is a matter of focus. Introversion versus extroversion. Even these words are misunderstood by most. The imperative that we use these words with the same understanding as their definition. So, for me, an introvert is someone who gains strength from within or within him or herself. An extrovert is someone who gains strength from outside of him or herself. An introvert has a centered self, with everything going toward others. An extrovert is self-centered, drawing everything toward him or herself. Choose to center yourself. Are you self-centered, or is yourself centered? When you are self-centered, you put yourself at the center of the universe. You draw energy from the outside. Everything revolves around you. You are demanding. When you are a centered self, when you have a centered self, you draw power from within and you revolve around everything. You are in demand. Center of the universe. The center of the universe is at the center of I. Think about this. Everything else in the universe is outside of you. That puts you right in the center of it all. Pyramid. Fire in the middle. The tetrahedron is a pyramid shape. I have heard that the word pyramid means fire in the middle. If so, it means the fire of God burns in each of us. Shine on. Information. Know thyself. As you visualize the whole you, rotate the view and look at every angle. It takes time. Live in the now, continuously in motion. Information means forming within. Information. See what we did there? You will discover two physical aspects are embodied in the body and mind, and two metaphysical aspects are embodied in soul and spirit. Work with these pairs together at first, then pair up a physical aspect with a metaphysical aspect, and work with it as a pair. Try body, mind, and then soul and spirit at first. Then switch from body, soul, and mind, spirit. Try every combination. Move to a triad of three. Remember, you can only see three sides of a tetrahedron at one time. 1, 2, or 3 aspects at a time, while stuck in our 3D plane. Take time. It's always there, slipping into the future. Only you. One of the loneliest numbers you'll ever know. 1 is all you are. Realize you are a facet of the One who overcame loneliness by creating everything. Do what thou wilt. Free will is your exercise or let me start that again. Do what thou wilt. Free will is yours to exercise or relinquish. If you relinquish your will to another, you always have the choice to take it back. No matter, you are fully responsible either way. Choose wisely. Responsibility. It is always there, and giving it away does not free you of it. Since you are ultimately responsible for every aspect of your life, keep control of it, all 4 aspects. Transformation. Time is a dimension of transformation. Don't wait for the transformation to find you. Go forth and become. Shirley Temple. That's Surely. Shirley Temple. Pyramid. The New Testament teaches us that each of us is a temple of God. We surely are, because we have infinity within us. Look within to find the truth. Reiteration. Repetition is the key to retention. In the beginning was the Word, the One. The Word became flesh, photon, and dwelt among us, perception. Dimensionality. Zero-dimensional space is a point. The point has no mass and no size. It is only location. It is nothing. From nothing comes everything, ex nihilo. First dimension. The smallest unit of 1D space is the line between 2 points. This is the first manifestation of the One. Second dimension. The smallest representation of 2D space is a triangle. The triangle is 3 points joined by 3 edges. There is stability in the triangle. This trinity is the second manifestation of the One. Third dimension. The tetrahedron is the smallest unit of 3D space. It has 4 triangles joined at 4 corners and 6 edges. This is the third manifestation of the one. The tetrahedron is the basic building block and is the first Platonic solid. It is built with locations joined by straight lines. Fourth dimension. Now we throw a curve at this. A curve is infinite points joined together, constantly changing direction. I propose this curve is the fourth dimension we know as time. This curve is combined with the other dimensions to become space-time. Everything perceived is perceived through space-time. Time is a curious dimension. Some would say it's not a dimension at all, but something outside of space. The shape of the photon is tetrahedral. The photon in space-time is the basic building block of all what we call reality. Other dimensions. Incredibly, there are other dimensions, but we cannot perceive them except by inference. Perception in 4D space. A curious observation about the tetrahedron and the perception in space-time is that we cannot view the entire object with our stereoscopic vision. At most, we can see 3 sides, but these 3 sides are distorted. It takes time to view the complete tetrahedron because it must be rotated. A series of perceptions are strung together to build a complete perception. Time is required for complete perception. I used to think time was an anomaly, but now I believe it is a tool for perception. Tool appears to be a half dimension to provide increased perception, which works toward completion. A continuous creation is what space-time is. And that ends the second chapter. And here I have my handy-dandy little bookmark, and we'll put that in there, and we'll be ready for reading the next chapter another day. All right. I hope you guys all, well, at least put up with me there. If you think what I am reading is just too wacky, let me know. If you think it's awesome, let me know. And if you don't think at all, let me know that too. Just let me know. Post down here, and you know, for those of you that are interested, I'll go ahead and put a link into Amazon where you can purchase this if you so desire. All right, that's all I got to say for now. So have an awesome day. Bye.